You talk about the student spies, right? Trump's making a big deal about Harvard right now, saying, you guys are bringing in terrorists and terrorist sympathizers and radicals and Chinese spies and so on. What's the big deal with that? Well, going back to 2008 in my work, one of the other things I uncovered was China was putting in student organizations. They have Chinese student organizations. One of the major ones I was investigating was the CSSAs, the Chinese Student and Scholar Associations. And these are funded by the consulates, operated by the consulates in their own writing. This isn't like rumor. They state it on their own websites. In fact, they're run by an official branch of the Chinese Communist Party and then operated through the consulates. So we have, aside from the Confucius Institutes and the little red schools, which are the more things people are paying attention to, state-funded, state-operated organizations at American universities, and it's most of them, including Harvard, by the way. And what do these organizations do? Well, it's students, it's professors, it's faculty members, and it's members of the Chinese community, which is the CCP side of it, not the human rights and dissident side of it, which is, I would say, the more representative side of Chinese people, right? So in other words, it's the Chinese Communist Party. It's the Tongs, like I mentioned earlier, tied in with the gangs and so on. It's those guys tied in with the spy operations. It's the consulates that run every other piece that I've been talking about, operating that as well. And what do? They oversee the students' growth. And so if you're a Chinese student, and some of them forcibly enroll you. So if you come here study from China, some of them forcibly enroll you. You're part of it whether you like it or not.
Wow.
They monitor other Chinese students. And so some people might say, well, isn't this mean to Chinese students? No. It's mean that you let this exist because these guys watch the other Chinese students. If you come from China and you study and you go to a Christian human rights event, they will punish you.
Wow.
They will monitor, they will report you, they will punish you. If you go to an event about live organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners, which is like a religion in China based on truthfulness, compassion, tolerance, just people trying to be good people, and they're killed for it, and they use them as live sources of organ transplants, and they're starting to do other groups as well. It's been in particular people from the Xinjiang region. If you go to one of their events, they will report you, they will punish you or your family. Your entire future is ruined. You can't get a job and so on. But even beyond that, they might want to put you in a research program. So maybe there's a state-funded, which, of course, our government funds a lot of research programs at universities. Maybe the Pentagon has a program, which they do. Maybe there's a medical program, which they have. They'll tell you to get into it. And the faculty members might help facilitate it. The faculty members part of the CSSA might give you the good word. The other ones might sign on a document, say, get him into this. He's a star student. But it's all spies, effectively. They get you in, and then they have you steal it and bring it back to China. And so you've committed theft of a government-funded research program at a university. And people pay attention to that. But the worst part, the even worse part of it is this. Some of the programs don't just have you return to China, as they call it. Some of them have you do what they call serving in place. And what does that look like? They might say, we need a spy in the CIA. We need an insider. They might say, we need a spy in the Justice Department. We need a spy in the USDA. We need a spy to run for office, maybe become a government official, maybe run for city council. And they will grow you. And the community organizations, the Tongs, will act as the votes. They'll act as the ones maybe getting the driver's licenses from China so they can rig the elections. They'll work as the ones busing people around to vote at multiple polling stations, which I reported on them doing and I witnessed them doing in New York City.
Wow.
That kind of stuff. And so they'll push you up. They'll fund you. They'll do everything. And what does that mean for the United States? It means that you have people in our government who are not representing the American people. They're representing the Chinese Communist Party. For example, they could trigger an investigation into an organization they don't like. They could go after a human rights organization. They could, for example, try to promote a political policy that they want passed. They could crush something they don't want passed. They can maybe falsify criminal charges against you and go after you. they could launch an investigation into you if they're with the if they get an agent in.
All right, guys, Sean Kelly here, host of the Digital Social Hour podcast. Just filmed 33 amazing episodes at Student Action Summit. Shout out to Code Health, sponsor of these episodes, but also I took them before filming each day. Felt amazing. Just filmed 20 episodes straight and I'm not even tired, honestly. So Code Health, amazing products. I also take these at home, especially when I traveled. I used to get sick every time I flew, and I started taking that. First time, I haven't had a runny nose, knock on wood. One standout element, it's so easy. You got the travel pack here, but you could just take this, fit it in your pocket if you need to. Also, all natural, like only saline solution in there. So you don't got to worry about any crazy side effects or anything. Yeah, Code's unique. With supplements, there's a lot of who knows what's in those ingredients. Code Health, I haven't seen much like this, where it's just based off the codes that are in the saline solution. So I would say they're very unique. It's going to be the future of health and medicine. Code Health has been awesome.
Feel the drop and go code yourself.
The FBI. They can do all of that stuff. They can weaponize our government on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party, and that happens. I'll give you a direct example of that. In New York City, one of the organizations that's being just barraged by attacks like this is Shen Performing Arts. They have pieces depicting the persecution of Falun Gong. They also promote Chinese traditional culture, which the CCP has been trying to crush. And so human rights issues, the culture the CCP has tried to destroy, which represents, I'd say, the real Chinese people. Mm-hmm. So one example that happened, a Chinese spy was arrested because he was trying to bribe an IRS agent to take away the nonprofit status of Shen Yun.
Wow.
Right? Turned out the IRS agent was in fact an undercover FBI agent, so they arrested the Chinese spy trying to do it. They get bomb threats, death threats, every time they have a program, even for example, in Washington, D.C. at like the Kennedy Center, they get bomb threats. They have to evacuate it. If you have government officials attending, it's a national security threat. Taiwan intelligence services actually got involved in investigating this, and they actually reported that they traced the bomb threats and death threats to an organization tied to Huawei in China.
Wow.
And so the CCP is doing this. Then you have New York Times doing hit pieces on them. You have, for example, people trying to trigger legal investigations. And then we look into it, what's happening? Well, one of the main New York Times reporters, her father is tied in with one of the Chinese tongs. He denies it, but he's on their websites. One of the guys triggering the investigations, another guy in the local community, it turns out he has multiple major businesses in China that are publicly listed, including with the Chinese government. And so how do we not recognize that as people, tied in with, and then of course, they're interviewing about 10 people, right? In the New York Times articles, about 10 people making all these accusations. They have 1,500 people signed a petition, right, as part of the Shen Yun and school, because there's a university there, saying that, no, this is all lies. They're not interviewing those 1,500 people. They're interviewing 10 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this is an example being raised of how that if you get a few people of interest, whether they're direct or indirect to the CCP, they can orchestrate things to take down anybody, to destroy anybody. And even aside from the human rights thing, what are we talking about? Hollywood could be censored. Free speech can be censored. We already talked about them silencing media. A lot of media do not dare talk about human rights because if you do, you get kicked out of China. You might say, well, don't they criticize Xi Jinping a little bit? Yeah, you're allowed to a little bit, but they have what they call no-go topics. You can't talk about the 5 no-go topics: persecution of Falun Gong, of course, live organ harvesting, which now they're increasing the number of organ harvesting facilities by 3-fold in Xinjiang right now. You can't talk about Taiwan independence. You can't talk about Hong Kong democracy. You can't talk about persecution of Christians, and you can't talk about persecution of Tibetans. A little bit Christians because they try to reel it back because they know it's a soft point for the United States. And so, they can criticize other things, but there's no-go topics. And that's where the line is. That's how the game is played. What happens with businesses?
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode.